All right, let's talk about taxes in Brazil. If you run a business, you know it can feel like navigating a maze, right? Well, a huge change is on the horizon, and today we are going to break down the complete timeline, your roadmap for the tax reform that's set to change pretty much everything. Right now, if you're an entrepreneur, you're juggling at least 5 different consumption taxes. You know the ones: PIS, COFINS, IPI, ICMS, and ISS. Each one has its own set of rules, its own crazy calculations, and frankly, it's a massive headache. It just creates so much confusion. But imagine for a second, what if we could just get rid of all that complexity? What if we could trade in that tangled web for something that's actually streamlined, clear, and just simple? Well, that is the big promise at the heart of Brazil's tax reform. So yeah, the main goal here is all about bringing an end to that complexity. It's about completely overhauling how we handle taxes on goods and services, moving from this heavy, confusing system to something that finally makes sense. And here's the change in a nutshell. It's actually pretty simple, but it is profound. We're going from those 5 different taxes you see on the left to just 2 on the right, the CBS and the IBS. I mean, this is a total game changer, probably the biggest shakeup to the country's tax system in decades. It's designed to finally get rid of that confusing overlap that makes doing business so tough. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly are these 2 new taxes that are going to replace the whole old system? Let's break them down. First up, you've got the CBS. Think of this as the new federal tax on goods and services. It's swooping in to replace 3 federal taxes: PIS, COFINS, and IPI. Then you have the IBS. It's also a tax on goods and services, but this one will be managed by the states and municipalities together, and it's replacing ICMS and ISS. Now here's the crucial part. Instead of every city and state having their own different rules, this creates one single cohesive system. Now, you can't just flip a switch on a change this massive. It's just not going to happen overnight. And that's exactly why this whole reform is built around a really long, gradual transition. The entire point of this decade-long plan is to give businesses, accountants, and even the government itself time to adapt without causing some huge economic shock. It's a carefully planned journey, and it all kicks off in 2026. And this right here, this is the roadmap. You can really think of it as a bridge, walking us from the crazy system we have today to that simpler one in the future. See how it starts? It kicks off with a couple of test years, then the old taxes start to fade away, until finally, in 2033, they're gone for good. So how does this whole journey start? Well, the first step is actually really small and deliberate. In 2026, the new federal tax, the CBS, gets introduced with this tiny little test rate of just 0.9%. This isn't really about revenue. It's about dipping a toe in the water, the first real-world test of the new model. Then, just a year later, in 2027, the state and municipal tax, the IBS, starts its own test run with an even tinier rate, just 0.1%. So you're probably wondering, why on earth would they start with such small percentages? What's the point? Well, that brings us to what's being called the calibration period. Honestly, the best way to think of it is like a nationwide beta test. The whole idea is to use these super low, almost symbolic rates to work out all the kinks in the system. It lets everyone make adjustments based on real data without causing a big financial hit for businesses or a drop in government revenue. It's basically a test drive for the country's new tax engine. Okay, so after that calibration period is over, the real transition kicks into gear. This is where we start to see the old system phase out while the new one slowly ramps up. You can really break the whole thing down into 3 clear phases. First, from 2026 to 2028, we're in the coexistence phase. The old taxes are still around, but the new ones are being tested with those minimal rates. Then, from 2029 to 2032, we hit the reduction phase. This is where the rates for the old ISMs and ISS start to drop, year by year. And finally, in 2033, we get to the grand finale, the extinction phase, where the old taxes are wiped out for good. And that, right there, brings us to the end of our bridge. It's the final milestone in this whole decade-long journey of transforming the tax system. So by the time we hit 2033, the tax system as we know it today will be completely gone. The old consumption taxes, they'll be a thing of the past. The only thing left will be the new simplified IBS and CBS system, and it will be in effect everywhere in the country. Okay, so here's the most important question in all of this. What does this long timeline actually mean for your business, right now. I know 2033 seems like it's a lifetime away, but trust me, you need to start preparing way sooner than you think. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Sebre put it perfectly here. The system is not going to be switched on overnight. This is such a critical point. The reform was designed to have this coexistence phase. This overlap is on purpose to give everyone, business owners, accountants, you name it, the time they need to adapt, to learn the new rules, and to get their systems in order without causing a total meltdown. So, what can you actually do right now? First thing, and this is non-negotiable, talk to your accountant. They are going to be your best friend through this. Second, take a hard look at your current tax setup and figure out if it's still going to work in the new reality. You're almost certainly going to have to update your management and invoicing software to handle the new taxes. And finally, just stay informed. There are still complementary laws with all the fine print details that are being rolled out.
At the end of the day, this transition is happening. That bridge to 2033 is already under construction. So the only question left to ask yourself is this: when the time comes, is your business going to be ahead of the curve, ready to cross that bridge with confidence? Or are you going to be stuck on the other side, scrambling to catch up? The time to start preparing is right now.